everyone, I'm back with another video. Hope so you all are well, and today in this video we are going to start from the topic of the history part, chapter 7, which is the medieval India, the Cholas. Okay, so from the Cholas, before starting the sources part of the Cholas, we will know some small brief introduction about the Cholas. Okay, who were Cholas? So from the book, page number 67, the first paragraph, the southern part of the Indian peninsula situated south of the Krishna river. The southern part of the Indian peninsula, which was situated south of the Krishna river, was inhabited by the Dravidians. That means the Dravidians lived there. They had their own language, they had their own culture. But in this region, okay, in that region, three kingdoms were there. They were the Cheras, they were the Pandyas, and the Cholas. But among the three, the most powerful was the Cholas. Okay, were the Cholas. So this was the brief introduction, just the first paragraph. Now we are going to start from the sources, which is the main point. So the sources, the first point in the sources is the inscription. So the first point, the inscription are the main source of information of the Chola period. Okay, so the main source of information of the Chola period, the main source of information that we will know about the Chola period, we will get from the inscription. The second point is that inscriptions of the Cholas are in the form of copper plate grands and was made on walls and pillars. So the inscriptions of the Cholas were in the form of copper plate grands, okay, and they were made on walls and pillars. After that, copper plate grands were known as Anbil and Karandi. Okay, so the copper plate grands were also known as Anbil and Karandi. After that, the Kanyakumari stone inscriptions gives a long list of information of the rulers indicating the origin of Chola dynasty. That means that the Kanyakumari stone inscription, okay, the Kanyakumari stone inscriptions gives a long list of information about the rulers who started ruling the Chola administration or the dynasty from its origin. That means from where it started. Okay. After that, copper plate grands are written in Sanskrit and Tamil. If can be asked in the exam that name the two languages in which copper plate grands were written. So the two languages were the Sanskrit and Tamil. And some more information related to the inscriptions are, for example, the Uttara Merur inscription gives information on village administration, taxation and land revenue, which means this Uttara Merur inscriptions give the information to us about the village administration. That means how the village was administered, the taxation, how the tax or how the money from the people was taken, and the land revenue, the money taken on the land. So taxation and land revenue as well as the village administration. Okay, and land revenue means the money taken for the land. After that, copper plate inscription are the records of grants of villages, plots of land, etc. Which means this copper plate inscription are the record of grants. Grant means the small amount or an amount of money given to an individual or to an organization for a particular purpose. This means grants. So record of grants of villages, plots of land, the land taken or land that were sold at that time, they were known as plots of land. And after that, they also inform us, these inscriptions also inform us about the construction of the temple. This inscription also inform us about the construction of the temple or setting up a new image of deity. Deity means in Hindi we say it Murti. Okay. The last point, some inscriptions have also royal orders on taxation and land revenue. This means some inscription had royal orders on which the taxation and land revenue. So this was the sources, the first part of the source, which is the inscription. Let's revise once again. The main source of information was known as the inscription. They were written on the wall and pillars, and they were also known as copper plate grands. They were in the form of copper plate grands. After that, copper plate grands were also known as Anbil and Karandi. Kanyakumari stone inscription gives a long list of information about the ruler who started ruling the Chola dynasty from the origin. Origin means starting. And copper plate grants are written in Sanskrit and Tamil. And some more, that means Uttara Merur inscription give information on village administration, taxation and land revenue. Copper plate inscription also are the records of grants of villages, plots of land, etc. And after that, they also inform us about the construction of the temple and setting up a new image of deity. And the last point, they had also royal orders on the taxation and land revenue. This was the inscription. Now we will do the Brihadeshwara temple. Okay guys, now we are going to start the Brihadeshwara temple. So the Brihadeshwara temple, about it, some kind of introduction about the temples here till here, and after that the all the information about the temple from here. Okay, so the temples that were made in the time of Chola period and made by the Chola peoples, so that temple's gateway, okay, or the gateway of the temple was known as the Gopuram. The temple of the gateway, the gateway of the temple was known as Gopuram. After that, the main shrine was known as the Garbha Griha. Here the images of god and goddesses were kept. That means the main shrine. What is the meaning of shrine? Shrine means a holy or a sacred place where all the people gathered or gathers to attend a historical event, okay, that is going to take place there. So the main shrine was known as the Garbha Griha. So the name of the main shrine was this. After that, here the images of god and goddesses were kept. Okay. The third point, the images of the god and goddesses were either made of stones or either made of bronze. After that, the mandapa. Okay, just a second. So the mandapa was a place where people gathered for prayers, and it was also known as the audience hall. After that, the best example. Now see, till here the introduction part. After that, let's revise once again. That means the gateway of the temple was known as the Gopuram. The main shrine was known as the Garbha Griha. Here the images of the god and goddesses were kept. Images were either whose images, the images of god and goddesses were either made of stones or bronze. After that, mandapa was a place where people gathered for prayers. It was also known as the audience hall. Now, the best example of the Chola temple is the Brihadeshwara temple. The best example. So about all the information about this temple, I have written it here in the points. Okay. Now the first point, the temple is also known as the Raja Rajeshwara temple. Why? Because it was built by the Chola king Raja Raja I. Okay. So it is also known as Raja Rajeshwara temple. The first point. The second point, it is dedicated to Lord Shiva. Okay, this temple is dedicated to which Lord? To Lord Shiva. After that, it is located at Thanjavur. Okay, it is located at Thanjavur and was built by the Chola king Raja Raja I. Now, here the fourth point. One of the best example, this temple is one of the best example of the Dravidian style of architecture. It is one of the best example. After that, the main structure of the temple has a great Vimana. Vimana means tower, which rises till 190 feet high. So the Vimana or the tower is 190 feet high. After that, temple has many structures like the Nandi Pavilion and a large assembly hall. So the temple has many structures like Nandi Pavilion and a large assembly hall. After that, the temple is one of the most finest monument of the South Indian history. So the temple is one of the most finest monument of the South Indian history. After that, the temple is one of the beautiful example of Tamil architecture. So the temple is one of the example of the most beautiful Tamil architecture. After that, this temple has been declared as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. Okay, so this temple has been declared as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. Okay guys, now we are going to start the Chola administration. Okay, and it is at page number 70. So from the central government, I will read some points from the book, then I will go here. So the central government, from the central government, the first point, the king was the most important person in the Chola administration as all authority was vested in him. Okay, that means who was the most important person in the Chola administration? The king. After that, but he had council of ministers to advise him. He took advice from his ministers. After that, we come to the second paragraph, sixth line. The central government looked after external defense. Okay, the central government looked after the external defense, internal peace and order. Okay, internal peace and order, promotion of general prosperity and cultural progress of the empire. So who looked these things? The central government. In the provincial government, the Chola Empire was divided into mandalams or provinces. Okay, these were further divided into Valanadu and Nadu. And the princes of the royal family, were appointed governor. Okay, were appointed as the governors of the provinces. Now we come to the local self-government. So the local self-government is here. The Cholas, the people of the Cholas were the good rulers. Okay, the Cholas were good rulers. They believed in local self-government. That means they believed in local self-government. Like in many villages was governed by the villagers themselves. Okay, not by the kingdom. So in many villages was governed by the villagers themselves. After that, three types of village assemblies were there. So three types of village assembly were there, and namely the Ur, the Sabha and the Nagaram. After that, long inscriptions are there on the walls of temple. Long inscriptions are there on the walls of temple giving information how the Ur and Sabha were organized. Okay, so इंस्क्रिप्शन मीन्स रॉयल ऑर्डर्स. सो बहुत बड़ा बड़ा इंस्क्रिप्शंस रहता है किस पर? वॉल्स पे, वॉल्स, टेम्पल वॉल्स. सो वॉल ऑफ द टेम्पल एंड दे गिव इन्फॉर्मेशन. वो हमें इन्फॉर्मेशन देते हैं हाउ द ऊर असेंबली एंड द सभा असेंबली को कैसे ऑर्गेनाइज किया जाता था. आफ्टर दैट द ऊर वॉज द कॉमन टाइप ऑफ असेंबली. द ऊर वॉज द कॉमन टाइप ऑफ असेंबली वर द लैंड वॉज हेल्ड बाई ऑल द क्लासेस ऑफ पीपल. ओके, the Ur was the common type of assembly. Try to understand. It was just common type of assembly where the land was held by all the classes of peoples who were the members of the local assembly. So the members of the local assembly were also the member of the Ur assembly. After that, the Sabha assembly. It was totally a Brahman assembly of villages and all the lands belonged to Brahman. And the last, the Nagaram, the third was the Ur, the Sabha and the Nagaram. So the Nagaram assembly, it was an assembly of merchants and traders. Okay, it was an assembly of merchants and belonged to trader or merchant class, you can say, or you can say and merchants. So it was an assembly of merchants and belonged to traders and merchants. After that, all the affairs of the village like collection of taxes, settlement of disputes were looked after by the village committees. So all the affairs of the villages, all the problems of the villages, like or anything in the village like the collection of taxes, the settlement of the disputes means fight, and many more things were looked after by the village committees themselves. Okay, so this was the local self-government, the first part of the Chola administration, the local self-government. Now we come further. Okay, so after that, the temple in the Chola kingdom was the place where people worshipped, as well as the place where people gathered. Okay, after that, temples owed huge lands. Okay, lands donated to the temples were known as the Devadaya or the Devadana. The two names important, Devadaya and Devadana. After that, the temples owed huge land, first point, and the lands donated to the temples were known as Devadaya and Devadana. After that, the temples were the center for education also. See, I have not taken all the points from the local self-government. The main points I have wrote on the board. So the temples were the center for education also. After that, who were the teachers? The priest. Priest means the pandits of the temple were the local teachers, as there were no schools at that time. After that, students learned their lessons in two languages. The two languages was the Tamil and the Sanskrit. Okay, so this was the local self-government and after that now we will do the revenue. Okay, now we are going to do the revenue. So the first point of the revenue is revenue. Revenue means money. So revenue of the Chola kingdom came from taxes on land and tax on trade. See, the first question that can be asked, that from tell the sources from which the revenue of the Chola kingdom come. So the first you can write, the revenue of the Chola kingdom came from the taxes on land and tax on trade. Okay. Second part, the second point, the part of the revenue was kept for the king and rest was used by the public works. So the part of the revenue was kept for the king and the rest that remained was used for public works, like the building of the roads, on salaries of the officials, buildings of the temple. Okay, it will be building of the temples. Okay, now the last point of here, the taxes were collected from by whom? Who collected the taxes? So the taxes were collected by the officials from the village councils. So the taxes were collected by the officials from the village councils. Okay, so these are the points, first, second, third and fourth. Just 4 points are there. The taxes were and the last point, the taxes were collected by the officials from the village councils. So this part, the revenue finished. After that we will come to the architecture part. Okay, now we are going to start the Chola art. Okay, so the first point in the Chola art is the Chola rulers were the great rulers and conquerors. Okay, the second point, they loved art and architecture. Okay, so they were good rulers as well as the conquerors. The second point, they loved the art and architecture. The third point, as they loved art and architecture, they built temples, they built canals, they built roads, cities and palaces. Okay. The fourth point, most of the temples were built in the Dravidian style. Okay, so most of the temples were built in the Dravidian style. After that, art of making stone and metal images had made rapid progress. Okay, art of making stone and metal, okay, images. So the images that were made from the stone and metal had made rapid progress, immediate progress under the Chola rulers. After that, the Cholas were expert in making images of God and goddesses. Okay, bronze image of Lord Shiva, as Nataraja, also known as Lord of Dance, is an excellent work of art, and the picture is given in the book at the page number 71. Okay, in the Chola art. So with this we come to the end of this chapter, the chapter 7, which is the Cholas. I hope what I explained you understood. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep supporting.